The Persona series began in 1996 and is a part of the broader Megami Tensei franchise. Today I will talk about all the mainline games and rank them from worst to best. If you enjoyed this video and like Megami Tensei content, then please like, comment, subscribe, and check that bell for more content like this in the future. Now before we begin, I want to make it clear that this video is purely opinion and I don't believe in a bad Persona game. So when I discuss problems with any of the games, it's done out of a love for the entire series. Try not to eat me alive. Let's get to it. Number 6. Revelations Persona, later released as Shin Megami Tensei Persona on the PlayStation Portable, is the first game in the series and is deeply rooted in the Megami Tensei formula gameplay wise. To begin with, we have a story that is pretty decent, but obnoxious gameplay elements keep the game lower on this list. The game itself is a fun time, but constant random encounters and first person view when exploring may set newer fans off, as this is not the best first person game in the series. Not to mention the original localization of the game in the West had some pretty fucked up things in the dialogue that are blatantly racist. This is better in the PSP remake, as they redid the translation based more on the original Japanese release, removing elements like the recoloring of Mark. They fixed the names too. The PSP release is the recommended way to play for content and gameplay reasons, but it does suffer from a lackluster soundtrack. But if you don't mind getting a little dirty, you can mod the game to have the PS1 soundtrack. Peak Persona 1. Number 5. Persona 2 Innocent Sin is the second game released in the series and saw Atlus using a third-person camera, mixing both 2D sprites and 3D environments. This game is a much better game than the first game in the series. The story is woven together more cohesively and has some of the best characters in the entire series. However, the game does falter in many ways. One is the game has an unhealthy amount of random encounters. This isn't a point towards difficulty in the game, as not a single battle in the game should give you any issues. Rather, the constant battles become more of a chore and are annoying because they interrupt the flow of an otherwise well put together game. This game eventually got a PSP release in the West that is basically the better game in every way, and even has an option of the original PS1 soundtrack. If you are going to play this game, then play the PSP release, is my suggestion. Number 4. Persona 4 is the 5th mainline game released in the series, originally releasing on the PS2. The game later got an expanded release that added a new character, new social links, new events, and even new personas, to the point where the content almost becomes overwhelming. This game has a fun atmosphere and some of the best character development in the series. Although I feel these words are true, the game does have issues that hold it back for me. For one, the golden release feels like a whole lot of unnecessary content that breaks the pacing of the game. This means the game has more time to build the characters up, but ends up talking about either the same things over and over or irrelevant things. This is fine when done in good timing and pacing, but the pacing is all over the place in this game. I find it amusing that Persona 3 has the reputation of poor pacing when 4's pacing is significantly slower and suffers for it too. Altogether, Persona 4 is a fantastic story that you will 100% be ahead of the characters through the entire game. And this is why I cannot rank it higher. Number 3. Persona 2 Eternal Punishment is the third game in the series to be released and was the only one of the duology we got in the West. The game improves on Innocent Sin in literally every way. The gameplay is far more enjoyable, the story is even better than Innocent Sin's story, and the game closes off the duology nicely with one of the best plots in the entire Megami Tensei franchise. This game was also remade on the PSP as well, but it was never released in the West. However, if you don't mind modding, you can get a fan translation of that version, which is the best way to experience this game. Of all the games that deserve or need a remake, the Persona 2 duology is definitely one of them. You can sense the Persona series was moving in the direction that eventually brought us to Persona 3, 4, and 5. However different, this game is not a game to overlook, and you should absolutely play Innocent Sin, if only because Eternal Punishment beautifully wraps things up in epic ways. Peak Persona 2. Number 2. This is where I may upset some people. There are only 2 games left to rank, so somebody is going to dislike my pick regardless. Especially Persona 5 fans. I love Persona 5. It is one of the best games ever made, and deserves the praise it oftentimes gets. However, there is a reason why the Megami Tensei community has memed the I Play Persona 5 on YouTube fan, which is a fan who watched someone like Johnny Awesome, love your stuff by the way, played the game and developed opinions on the entirety of the series based on what YouTubers have said about the games. This is a frustrating part of the community. It seems these days that there are more actual fans of the game playing the game than fans of watching the game, which is a great thing for the series, but it still has the issue of fans who are unwilling to go back because of silly things. For example, the tactic system in Persona 3 is often a sticking point for why people don't want to try it, or the portable release being a visual novel demake, when in reality P3 has great AI, aside from the occasional Miss Hill or Marin Karen, which Persona 5 also has. Persona 5 is so great because of what it takes from all the games before it, from skill types taken from the first 3 games, the city-like dark atmosphere that Persona 3 had, or the dungeon structure from 4 that has morphed into fully designed massive dungeons called palaces. Persona 5 is great because it is a love letter to the rest of the series. I just want the fandom to stop acting like every other Persona game is trash when they all have something great to offer. And finally, number 1. How many of you are upset that I put Persona 5 behind 3? That's okay, because those who played both should understand, even if they disagree with my opinion ultimately. What makes 3 so great is the fact that it not only reinvented the Persona series, but it did so with a lot of good taste. The atmosphere is one of the darkest in the series. Alongside Persona 2, the social links actually act like real people. There are ways to break and reverse the social links, and the game lets you fuck up because in real life friendships take work, and having consequences to the choices you make adds an element of realism to the game that others lack. I know some of you may not realize that, but real life people do not fucking agree with you. That is Persona 3. That is why I like it. It prepares you. It is more realistic than the others. Persona 4 and 5 have this yes man problem, where no matter what the fuck you say or do, your friends typically agree with you. That's fucking lame. Persona 3, everyone is trying to stop the shadows from ending the world, but they are very much have their own lives and are their own people. Junpei is an asshole, for example, but in a very real way. You love the moments when these characters do open up. Yukari likes to tease, but is ultimately one of the most caring people in the game. Shinjiro is just the best, and Koro is a good boy. Yes he is, yes he is. Everything is put together in a perfect way in Persona 3. The pacing is solid, you end up with all the characters earlier than the following games, and the threat is more severe and serious. I have to stop because I can go on for hours about this game. If you want to hear more about this game, check out my review of the game I released a few months ago. Persona 3 is peak Persona, in my opinion. It's peak JRPG for me, and I can't wait to see if the remake is real and what it will add to the game. So what did you think of the list? Did you agree? Where would you put each game in the series? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Please tell me in the comments section, and remember to like, comment, subscribe, and check the bell to see more content from me, and check out my older stuff as well because it's great as well. Until next time guys, remember, stay nerdy.
ち向かう勇気君にもらっただから